right, good morning, everybody. We got some hot new looks coming at you. Welcome to the party. Today is November 21st, 2024. Mark tape, because it's a day we started moving into OBS and really unlocking the power. DJ BSEC, Justin Gold have been riding me like a rented mule for quite some time, and we are ready to unlock the power. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 752 of Simply Cyber's Daily Cyber Threat Brief podcast. I am your host, Dr. Gerald Auger, and over the next hour or so, me, you, Augusta Delgado, Mara Levy, Carl. Oh yeah, Ed Williams, Luke J, Mondo, Sherry K, so many of us all, DJ BSEC behind the glass. We are going to be shredding the top cybersecurity news stories, and I'll be giving my expert opinion and analysis on each of those stories on what it means to you as a practitioner. So how can you use this information to drive cyber risk reduction for your business stakeholders? And if you're looking to break into the industry, believe me when I tell you, not only are you going to have a great experience here with this show right here, but also you're going to be asked in job interviews, how does it get, how do you stay current? Boom, nailed the answer. On top of that, you get exposed to all sorts of concepts, other thoughts, type of fun stuff, and wait for it, my friends, the networking. Oh my God, all about good times. Good morning to the mod team, Justin Gold, Casually Joseph, and please say good morning to Kimberly Can Fix It. Kimberly from the Lanai, all about good times. What's up, Rhonda Rummerfeld, Priceless Pancakes, Space Tacos, Jeff Watala, Galia Libin, so many wonderful people. Guys, every single episode of the Daily Cyber Threat Brief, including episode 752, the OBS episode, I don't prep or research for any of these stories. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's coming down the pike, especially today, because DJ BSEC and I were moving quickly in order to get at least one sound effect. Now, what many of you may be excited about, because I know you do enjoy this, because we've moved into OBS and I didn't have time to set up the soundboard. We'll be doing manual sound effects this morning, except for Carl. But you can expect big things tomorrow as we continue. Guys, I say it all the time, level up at least 1% a day. It's all about incremental improvements, not these big splashy gains. So tomorrow you can come back and expect even more of this situation getting sorted out. But I'm super excited to be playing with OBS, and I'm super excited to be delivering the top cyber news to you today. Now, before we get into it, let me holler at you about the stream sponsors. Those businesses that enable me to bring these hot takes to you, starting with Barricade Cyber Solutions, y'all. Barricade Cyber Solutions is absolutely dedicated to helping businesses from cyber attacks and recover from the damage done. Cyber attacks can cause massive issues for businesses and send dedicated, hardworking business owners into turmoil. But guess what, y'all? Barricade Cyber Solutions knows how to mitigate the damage done by cyber incidents. Check them out at barricadecyber.com. Links in the description below. All right. Love it. Thank you, Barricade Cyber. Guys, make sure that you go to Barricade Cyber and bookmark it, because basically, if you're dealing with an active compromise, you definitely want to have your solution sorted out, not figure it out at that moment. All right. I also want to say shout out and love to Antisyphon Training. Antisyphon Training, always bringing the knowledge bombs to you. 30 seconds from Antisyphon, and then we're going to get into it like a bunch of bosses. Let's go. High-quality cybersecurity education, regardless of financial position. Check this out. I want to give some love and some praise to Antisyphon Training, powered by Black Hills Information Security. Antisyphon Training is absolutely disrupting the traditional cybersecurity training industry by providing high-quality, cutting-edge education to everyone, regardless of financial position. They bring industry professionals with years and years of experience into the classroom to teach you and anyone else who's interested practical skills that are in demand in the market today. And on top of that, the student experience is amazing, as you and hundreds or thousands in some instances of other students are actively engaging, networking, sharing tips, tricks, and experiences with each other, all live in the classroom. Go to antisyphontraining.com, check out their course calendar to see what courses they have coming up next. You won't regret it. All right, you won't regret it. Thank you so very much, Antisyphon Training. Guys, every single episode of the Daily Cyber Threat Brief is worth half a CPE. So 2.5 a week, 10 a month, 120 a year. Say what? Kayla Sturgeon trying to convince her coworkers that 120 CPEs a year is dope. Cy Guy Rye knows what's cracking. Good morning to you. Guys, take a screenshot. Say what's up in chat. Be like Victor Agbana. Hashtag Team SC, right? And then file it away. Count your screenshots once a year. The screenshots have a timestamp on them so you know what day it was if you have to go back. All about good times. If today is your first episode of the Simply Cyber Daily Cyber Threat Brief, my friend, you picked one hell of a day to choose because you'll never know what the Streamlabs experience was like. For those who are long-timers, you've been living in this Streamlabs prison with me, and we've gotten the key now, and we are unlocked. We are, what is it, like a Reuniti? This is way, way back. We're cutting deep into the crates here. Reuniti on ice. We're talking about like sail away, sail away, sail away. Like we are free. We're talking about the cigarette boat in the harbors doing donuts yesterday. That's what OBS is, except in stream styles. Guys, I am so amped up right now. The coffee's got nothing on me and this energy. We got a great show for you. If it's your first episode, you know what? RMcast 55, your third episode. Welcome back to the party, pal. If today's your first episode, do me a solid. Let us know with a hashtag first timer in chat. Hashtag first timer in chat. Remember, I don't have sound effects today, so I will be doing them manually, and I apologize in advance because I'm not as good as the sounders are normally. But believe me when I tell you, come back tomorrow. I hope to holy hell that tomorrow we have someone who broke in because the wrecking ball sound effect and meme GIF stuff is going to be cool. Final thing to let you know is every day of the week has a special activity, and Thursdays is What's Your Meme Thursday. Dan Reardon, a.k.a. Haircut Fish and Chat, makes a custom meme. He's done it for years. Every single Thursday, you are absolutely not going to want to miss today's meme. I promise you. I don't normally make these big a promise, but trust me, today, Haircut Fish has taken it to a new level. And DR's finest. It is not your first time. Come on, bruh. Jared Witchard, you know what? Looks new to me. Jared, welcome to the party, pal. If everybody can give Jared Witchard a John McClane emote, we'll get into that. There will be welcome to the party, pal emotes and GIFs on screen tomorrow. I'm super excited. All right, guys, we got work to do. Do me a favor, sit back, relax, and let's let the cool sounds of the hot news, spicy, wash over us in an awesome wave.
CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
Oh my God, look how nice that looks.
These are the cybersecurity headlines for Thursday, November 21st, 2024. I'm Rich Straffolino. U.S. charges scattered Spider members. According to an unsealed indictment, California prosecutors charged 5 members of the Pernicious Threat Group for stealing sensitive data and with stealing at least $11 million in crypto assets. The group has previously been tied to attacks on MGM Resorts, Caesars, and Coinbase. The 5 alleged members range from 20 to 25 years old, living in Florida, North Carolina, Texas, and Scotland. We don't have a complete list of scattered Spider victims tied to these specific charges, but Bloomberg sources say one of them was Riot Games. The charges also list 4 unnamed US-based telcos, 2 IT outsourcing companies, and a crypto firm. One of the defendants has already pleaded guilty in a separate SIM swapping case. Investigators traced another of the defendants, Tyler Buchanan, through domain registration records on malicious websites.
Yep. All right, so here we go. Yes, sir. All right, guys, check it out. We got another screen so I can do my hot takes in full HD. All right, let me lower this sucker a little bit. Here we go. Get it going on. All right, we got chat cracking. We got the story up there. Let me know. Obviously, I'm always interested in feedback, especially when we're making these big style changes. All right, Scattered Spider, most known for their attack on MGM Grand and Caesars Resorts. There's literally Scattered Spider, even though they have nothing to do with DEF CON, is the reason that DEF CON At least my understanding, DEF CON's not invited back to Caesars, which is fine with me because if you went to DEF CON this year at the convention center, it was a far better experience. So not going to cry any tears over losing the Caesars contract. At the time, many of us believed, and I personally believe, that these were younger type individuals. It's now proven out they're 20 to 25 now, so which means they were like 18 to 23 ish then, or 19 to 24. So guys, the deal is they were braggadocious, they were arrogant. There was no business to them, right? And now they're all criminals, right? So it's not like you get a pass if you're like a polite criminal. Oh, by the way, law enforcement, like, regulators, mount up. All right, we're doing manual sound effects today if you just joined. They stole $11 million. That's not chump change. I think the important thing to point out here is a couple things. One, your idea of your threat model should be adapted to give consideration to this. These were 5 young men, I believe all men. So ladies, you're not in this problem here. And they just organized and they executed successfully on big name firms. Coinbase is like one of the largest crypto exchanges out there. Caesars Resorts is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. So it's not like, oh, you need to have a PhD in cyber operations and be trained by the NSA and have exclusive access to the latest tech. No, you can go to Best Buy, you can buy a Dell laptop, and you can get on Discord with a couple other friends who are criminally motivated, and you can get money, right? So it really is about intent, motivation, and time, okay? So this is why we need to, as practitioners, need to be consistent, vigilant. I talk about it all the time. In fact, I actually had a call with somebody yesterday. Who was it? Oh, geez. I had a call with someone yesterday, and I'm so sorry that I can't remember. Oh, Jesse Johnson, the Cosmic Cowboy. You got to remember, like, a lot of us, you know, it's a lot of work to get in the industry, but once you get in the industry, and this is going to be harsh, once you get in the industry, that's when the work really starts going on, and it's very demanding, and it's regular, okay? Like you I don't want to say no days off because you can take a vacation and stuff, obviously, but you it's not like you just set it up and you're like, well, I think we're good from here. Like, it really is a day in, day out, manning the wall, keeping in, being dynamic, fluid, adjusting. Frankly, it's the reason I love cybersecurity, is because it is incredibly dynamic and never boring. So update your threat model. Threat actors can be punks too.
Chinese threat actors infiltrate more telcos. Researchers at CrowdStrike discovered a Chinese-linked threat group, Liminal Panda, that's infiltrated telcos since at least 2020. The researchers found evidence of the group operating in Southeast Asia and Africa. CrowdStrike's Adam Myers told Axios that it's likely interoperability standards allowed the threat actors to access other telco networks as part of the attack, likely for cyber espionage. The tools used by the group show that they were built for bulk collection and able to search network traffic for specific keywords. If this all sounds familiar, we previously covered a similar operation run by the threat actor Salt Typhoon against US-based telcos. Apple...
Whoops, I pushed the wrong button. Hold on one second. All right, so, dude, China's been all up in the telcos. This is just more of the same. Frankly, the fact that it's more of the same just means that it's like less impressive, less scary. Obviously, China sees massive value, and for good reason, into the telcos. The nice thing is CrowdStrike is a enterprise-grade, top-tier EDR solution. They have a ton of telemetry, which means they can make informed insights on what they're seeing across their client base. They've targeted this one as Liminal Panda. I don't know if this is the same as Salt Typhoon. Remember, if you didn't know, different security companies have different names for the same threat actor. So Salt Typhoon is Microsoft's naming convention, and whatever Panda is CrowdStrike's naming convention for Chinese-based threat actors. So I don't know if Liminal Panda is different or the same as Salt Typhoon, but it sounds like they're just also seeing telcos getting attacked. It's not good, right? Telcos are critical infrastructure, obviously. You can use it to disrupt communications, which would be would definitely be problematic if we had to respond to like an emergent crisis, right? Like I'm being hyperbolic to make the point, right? Obviously, but like invasion, like if comms go down, like when Russia invaded Ukraine, they attacked the internet and brought down comms for quite a bit. Okay, here we go. Liminal Panda is separate from Sol Typhoon. Well, thank you, Story, for answering my question. Let me show you this, guys, really quickly. See, all right, so it's definitely the different. Sol Typhoon was targeting Trump and Vance and other government officials. I don't know who Liminal Panda is, but I guess what I'm thinking here is China's getting some good gains in the telco attack space, so they're just committing more resources. It's like anything else, guys. If you opened, two coffee shops, one on Main Street and one on I guess if you open two coffee shops, one on First Street and one on Fifth Street, and the one on Fifth Street is going gangbusters and selling 300 coffees an hour, and the one on First Street is selling 18 coffees an hour, you're going to lean into, let's put a second store on Fifth Street, or let's put more staff on Fifth Street, or let's add a second floor to Fifth Street. You lean into what you're getting good gains on. And to me, this is unfortunately a little nauseating, because this would indicate to me that the data, the telemetry, the insights, the advantage that China is getting from hacking into these telcos is good enough that they're committing more resources. So something to keep an eye on, obviously.
Use emergency security update. The company issued a patch for 2 vulnerabilities impacting most of Apple's portfolio, including iOS, iPadOS, macOS Sequoia, Safari, and Vision OS. Researchers at Google's threat analysis group initially disclosed the issues to Apple. One flaw impacts JavaScript core, the other is a cookie management issue in WebKit. The company said it found signs of active exploitation on Intel-based Mac systems, although no details on any threat actors targeting the vulnerabilities were released. These mark the 6th zero-day vulnerabilities disclosed by Apple this year.
All right. You gotta patch it. Manual sound effects. All right. One thing I will say what you will about Apple, I really do appreciate the ease and the consistency of Apple and Apple products on patching and updates. They're pretty quick about doing it. You don't get a lot of wiggle room, right? So the more control they take away from you, the less, I guess dynamic situations occur. Just in my opinion, if you're running Apple products, you got to patch it, right? You got to patch it, right? It's simple as that. Get your iPhones, get your iPads, bring out your dad, throw it on the cart, and patch it. And that's for us. More importantly, executives, okay? Let's be real. All right, if you've worked for a minute in the United States, you know the C-suite loves their Apple devices. Yeah. Issue everybody Dells. But me, I get an iPad. No, I get a MacBook. Did you see the new MacBook? Oh, right. So executives love their Apple products, which is fine. Whatever. They get to make the big choices, so they get to have whatever tech they want, even though they're breaking policy. The point is, you got to patch their stuff too, all right? And make sure that they are patched. This is being actively exploited. Active exploitation is bad. Remember, guys, just because there's vulnerabilities doesn't mean you're exploited. But it means that you're at risk of being exploited. When you see active exploitation out in the wild, that means your likelihood, hello, GRC Mafia, that means your likelihood is increased a couple levels, all right? So don't goof around with this. It looks like the vulnerability is around at least Safari OS. Now, I don't use Safari personally, but I don't think it's exclusively on Safari. It's a JavaScript. Okay, so there's a JavaScript vulnerability. So basically, I'm thinking any website you go to that has JavaScript, which many do, could lead to compromise, right? So if you're going to use the internet on your device, which literally everyone does, you could be exposing yourself to risk, right? Especially if you pair it with a social engineering, like phishing attack, like click here, they go to the link. They don't even have to type in their creds or download malware. They just get exploited, potentially compromised just by visiting the site with malicious JavaScript exploitation code in it. So Douglas Ramirez loves the new platform, doesn't know about the sound effects. Thank you, Douglas. I agree. We will have the sound effects tomorrow. I'm just doing manual. My choices are do no sound effects or do manual sound effects. And as a I guess neurotic person, I want to do the sound effects because I feel like it completes the show. You complete me.
Microsoft announces big and small computers. We covered a lot of Microsoft news yesterday. Here are 2 additional items. Microsoft announced the $349 Windows 365 Link device, a thin client PC designed to access Windows 365 services, and a cloud-based streaming version of Windows 11 managed by Microsoft Intune. The company says the device uses secure by design principles and is framed as a super hardened version of Windows. Microsoft will also support third-party Windows 365 Link devices from OEMs like HP, Dell, and Lenovo, and units will ship in April 2025. In other news, Microsoft and Atom Computing announced they successfully entangled 24 logical qubits using neutral atoms held by lasers. The system could detect when neutral atoms disappeared from the machine and correct for that. The company plans to ship this technology to commercial customers next year, with machines featuring over 1,000 physical qubits. Those would then be divided into logical qubits. Microsoft already offers Azure Quantum Compute Virtualization to help develop quantum error correction for the processor. And
I mean, this is pretty cool. All right. I like this. Okay, so check it out. Like here, you can see it on stream. Essentially, this right here, this box down in the middle, this little like Apple TV looking device, that's the quote unquote the computer. But in reality, it's just a thin client. You know, it's funny. I mean, I'm not this old. I'm old, but I'm not this old. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Like this is basically a thin client back to a mainframe, except the mainframe's the cloud. $365. It's fanless. What they said was they used all the technology. Like they made a pretty bold claim that says it's incredibly hardened. Like as soon as you say that, hackers like come out of the woodwork like whack-a-moles and they're like, I'm sorry, what? You said it's unhackable? Hold my beer. Okay. So what it's pretty cool. They have all the hardware tampering tech type stuff that they use for the Xbox console to make it really hard to like basically mod it. It runs a very lightweight operating system, and the entire point of the operating system is just to reach out to the cloud and basically be a thin client, like a VDI type thing, into your Windows operating system in the cloud. You could drop ship these. Like there's a lot to like about this, okay? There's a lot to like. And if you got thoughts, if you manage IT infrastructure, DJ BSEC, I'm thinking of him specifically, but I would love other people's comments. I like this. I like this for a bunch of reasons. One, you can drop ship. They're cheap. They're $365, right? Which is not nothing, but they're not $1,000, right? They are, you can just fire them off to people. Because it's the operating system's like in the cloud, basically, you can centrally manage it. It's hardened, so it can't really run code on itself like locally, because you have all the insights of the operating system up in Azure, which gives centralized managed capabilities. You can instantly snapshot and restore. You can instantly see if you have the right detections, compromises. You can quarantine wicked easily. You don't have to worry about a sales guy being disconnected from the mothership for any period of time. Vulnerability management will be easier. Configuration management will be easier. Access control will be easier. Someone steals this little box. Good. There's no data on it. At rest, it doesn't matter. There's no data on it. Take it. By all means. I'll order another one. You can steal that too. Okay, I like this. Now, obviously, there are some drawbacks, right? If you don't have internet, you basically have a paperweight, so that's not very cool. There could be some, if your whole fleet is running on these and there's some type of network denial of service attack, you can't operate in downtime procedures because you don't have computers. So you are taking on some risk there. So this isn't a riskless decision. So day 13 of Typhoid Jerry. So anyways, I like it. So one thing I will point out here that is concern, and I do see mod chats talking about this. A couple years ago, I experimented, not with drugs. All right, I know that's what some of you immediately went to. I experimented by trying to run off a Raspberry Pi as my main computer for 2 weeks. Okay, all right. I'll be real with you. About 4 hours into day one, I just used the Raspberry Pi to remote into my MacBook or my Mac, whatever. I have like the Mac Cube thing, whatever. It's like a desktop console, but it's a little. I just like remoted into that, and then I worked from my Mac. So like within 4 hours, the Raspberry Pi was underpowered. I was getting frustrated. It wouldn't do what I needed it to do. Also, by the way, like I was doing the stream still like this. I wasn't trying to run the streams off a Raspberry Pi. That'd be insane. But my point is, I tried doing it and it was grossly underpowered. I got frustrated. And then for like a week and a half, I basically just remoted into my Apple computer. This could suffer that same problem, right? So this thing might be grossly underpowered. You could have performance issues, end users getting pissy. So we'll see. Let's keep going.
Thanks to today's episode sponsor, ThreatLocker. Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Worry no more. You can harden your security with ThreatLocker. ThreatLocker helps you take a proactive, default deny approach to cybersecurity and provides a full audit of every action, allowed or blocked, for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation are fully supported by their US-based support team. To learn more about how ThreatLocker can help keep your organization running efficiently and protected from ransomware, visit ThreatLocker.com. That's ThreatLocker.com.
All right. Hey, it might be a new look and feel, but we're gonna keep some things the same. All right, y'all. Yes, Will Reed says smash that like button. Thank you. Guys, I hope you're having a great show. I hope you enjoy this new look and feel of the stream. We'll continue to make improvements. I am open to constructive feedback. If you want to drop, if you're watching on Team Replay, I see your comments on replay. You guys, I love seeing the comments. I try to respond to many of them. If you got any constructive feedback, throw it in chat. We got you. I'm part of the team, right? So I'm definitely interested. Guys, I want to say shout out and thanks to the stream sponsors, Barricade Cyber, Antisyphon, and Delete Me. Delete Me getting pushed to the mid-roll. Let's do 30 seconds with Delete Me. And when we get back, I'm going to show you the meme of the week, which if you have a cup of coffee or a drink, I strongly encourage you do not take a sip before I show you this meme of the week, or you will blast it all over your monitor. 30 seconds. We'll be right back. Hit that like button if you're getting value from the show. See you in 30. Especially since I share my opinions and hot takes daily. I'm hyper aware of my safety and security, and it's even easier to find personal information about people online these days. All the data is just hanging out there on the internet, and it can have real life consequences. But I recently found a solution, and this service is called Delete Me. Delete Me is a subscription service that removes your personal info from the largest people search databases on the web, and in the process helps prevent ID theft, doxing, phishing scams, stuff like that. And when you sign up, you tell Delete Me what data you want deleted, and they go off and do it. Cool thing is you get a personalized privacy report every month that shows what they deleted, where they found it, etc. It's pretty cool. For me personally, it's like outsourcing your online privacy, which honestly, I don't have time to do that myself or do it well. So for them to handle it is awesome. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me now at the special discount for Simply Cyber listeners. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/simplycyber and enter code simplycyber at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/simplycyber. All right, thank you, Delete Me. Thank you, all of you, and thank you, Haircut Fish. All right, every single day of the week has a special segment. Thursdays is What You Mean Thursday. And I want to say thank you to Dan Reardon. Now, remember, guys, if you were on the show the other day, on Friday, we talked about my shirt size, and DJ Bisek said I wear schmedium, and I said, yeah, it took me a long time to get comfortable with saying the truth, which is I wear a size small shirt. And we got joking about that, and I mentioned how my wife sometimes busts my chops and calls me Baby Gap. Dan Reardon took that as inspiration. Ladies and gentlemen, meme of the week. There we go. It is it is Baby Gap Jerry. Ha ha. My God. I hope you got value from this meme of the week. Thank you, as always, Dan Reardon, Haircut Fish. And just further proof that I do not censor or influence this meme of the week. Yes, sir. Greg does stuff. Hey, Greg does stuff. Got accepted as a position as a security analyst. And they definitely asked him, how do you stay current? Come in like a wrecking ball. Get your la-la-las on. All right. Shout out to Greg Does Stuff, getting a wrecking ball. We don't have the sound effect today, Greg, but certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much. We're going to keep working on it and push this thing forward. Now, I hope you guys all enjoyed that. Now, do me a favor. Oh, yeah, we got the wrecking ball emote. Thank you for reminding me, Marcus Kyler. Where is it? Wrecking ball emote. Where are you? Where are you? How come I don't have it? Oh, there it is. Boom, baby. All right, guys, do me a favor. Let's slide back into the news, finish strong, and get on to some jaw-jacking.
The effectiveness of police phone cracking. 404 Media obtained documents detailing the effectiveness of the phone unlocking and forensics tool Gray Key, typically used by law enforcement. These documents show that Gray Key can only partially retrieve data from the most recent version of iOS 18. While the leaked documents don't detail the limits of what partial data access means, a Forbes report in 2018 found partial extraction at that time was limited to unencrypted files and metadata. The documents show Gray Key is much less effective against beta builds. Android phones were also more variable in effectiveness, with Pixel 9 and 8a devices being limited to partial extraction as well.
All right. So this is interesting a little bit. If you're into the digital forensic space, definitely cool. It's kind of like these magic black boxes or magic gray boxes, LOL, that, basically you plug a locked cell phone into and magically it's able to dump the memory, pull files, pull, text images, emails, messages, all that stuff, phone numbers, logs. And it's super useful. Law enforcement loves it. And I guess some leaked documents, so I don't know how this came to be, shows that it's not a one-to-one rip, right? There is some elements that are not pulled or inconsistently pulled. So it's interesting, right? So there's that. I mean, how many of us are really, I don't know about you, but like this is kind of fringe, right? Like it's super awesome, it's super powerful, but it's also, in my opinion, super fringe. Like a lot of us aren't using this technology to crack into phones. It's used by law enforcement and, you know, security at like national security level type stuff. The technology is out there, so be mindful of that, obviously. Honestly, the TLDR for me here is that this is a great opportunity to point out 404 Media, which is the blog or journalist site that we're looking at here. I'm like 98% certain, and someone can fact check me on this one, but I'm like very, very confident that this 404 Media is basically the collection of journalists who ran Vice News's Motherboard, which was like a very tech cyber focused niche under the Vice News banner. And I think Vice got acquired by PE and they screwed everything up. And long story short, the journalists broke free and created their own business, this right here, and they have full autonomy on what stories they run down, where they investigate, how they present their news, which they're no longer influenced by a corporate overlord on what they can and cannot do. And for those reasons, I love 404 Media. I don't pay for it. I don't avidly read it. But whenever something comes up from 404 Media, my attention gets perked up and I'm like, yes. Yeah, Joseph Cox is the author of this particular story. Yeah, I think he's written a book that's pretty popular, if I'm not mistaken. But if you didn't know about 404 Media, definitely worth checking out. I think it's really, really cool. In fact, I'm going to drop a link in chat to this. Yeah, Mad Destroyer. My man, Mad Destroyer. It's good to see Mad Destroyer. Got my coffee, Mad Destroyer. I know it's pedestrian at best, but, you know, it is what we do. Yes, 404 Media is owned by its reporters. In fact, it says this, quote, this is from Justin Gold. Quote, 404 Media was founded in 2023 by former staff of Vice Media's Motherboard after it filed for bankruptcy. 404 Media is owned by its reporters. Yeah, so that's 100% accurate. Love it. And that's actually, I think they did an interview with Jack Resider on Darknet Diaries around, it was like tied to like, Joseph Cox had just written a book and they were kind of doing like a press tour on it. Anyways, it's just one of those ones, like there's a ton of media outlets in cyber, believe me, right? They're one of the really good ones. I definitely like what they're doing. Let's get them on the show.
TSA not implementing cybersecurity recommendations. A report from the U.S. Government Accountability Office, or GAO, criticized the Transportation Security Administration for failing to address 4 out of 6 cybersecurity recommendations it made back in 2018. The TSA did implement a plan to develop strategies to extend its cybersecurity workforce and partially updated its pipeline security and incident recovery protocol plan to include cybersecurity. GAO's recommendations about ransomware best practices have not been heeded by TSA as of yet, from evaluating which transportation sectors were following best practices to aligning its directives with NIST standards or assessing the effectiveness of federal support for organizations experiencing a ransomware attack. It also noted a lack of metrics to measure the effectiveness of TSA provisions implemented in the wake of the Colonial Pipeline attack.
All right. This is embarrassing, honestly. I'm just reading a little bit more. So government. So okay. This is so bad. I'm trying to see like what specifically they did not do, because sometimes things are hard, right? Like migrating to zero trust architecture is not something you stroke a check and it happens. Like it's hard. So let's see. Okay, so basically TSA has been given Transportation Security Agency, TSA. Many of us know it as the people that make it difficult to get on airplanes or, add time to your heading to the airport type stuff. They got, reviewed or whatever, and then told, hey, listen, your cyber program's kind of brittle and weak and sucky. So go ahead and fix it. Now, it said they had 6 things that they were told to fix. I can't find in the story where they are, and I don't research or prep for this. But 2018, guys, it's 6 years later, and apparently they haven't done anything. So they got drug up in front of the class and given a stern talking to. And they're like, oh, we're trying the best we can. Like, here's my thing. This just sucks. Okay. So what's the impact, right? So TSA isn't putting in controls, which means we're at risk of TSA getting hit. It comes off of the sheer panic that ensued America shortly after Colonial Pipeline, or engulfed America or Eastern America. So they're supposed to fix it, right? TSA gets hit with ransomware. It would be a major blow to travel and to moving of goods and services on trucks and stuff through the United States. It would be bad. So the Government Accountability Office is holding these government agencies accountable. That's literally what their purpose is, to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. I want to point out these agencies, including TSA, is supposed to be FISMA compliant, Federal Information Security Management Act of 2002. So this isn't new. They should have been FISMA compliant since they got instantiated, because they got instantiated in 2001, 2002 after 9/11, right? That's where TSA and the DHS and all that came from. So they've had years. Like, there's no freaking it bothers me. Listen, it bothers me. If you don't do your job, you get fired. That's how it works. I had this conversation with my son this morning. I'm like, you can't, if you take on work, you're responsible for it. You have to do it. If you don't, you get fired. Period. Full stop. It just boggles my mind. And I'm not out here screaming fire everybody. My point is, how can you be this negligent and just get a stern talking to and publicly embarrassed and then go back to your office? It's like yelling at your kid for drinking out of the milk carton, and then they just stand there and take the verbal tongue lashing, and then they put the milk back in the fridge and go upstairs. No punishment. Why would, here's my thing. Why would TSA have any interest in changing what they've been doing, what they've been demonstrating for years, if there's no consequences? I hope to God we don't get hit with ransomware. Okay, I hope TSA doesn't get hit. We're going into the holiday season. Obviously, a lot of travel, a lot of Thanksgiving dinner conversations where your uncle has a couple too many sodas and then starts talking about politics. So, catch me on Simply Cyber after dark or whatever, where I can tell you some of the conversations we've been having with my extended family. I don't even want to get into it. So anyways, long story short, being real, some of these requests are difficult to implement. Zero trust architecture, you don't snap your fingers. It takes budget, it takes time, it takes awareness. You have to really do it correctly and architect it. Multi-factor authentication, that's something that you actually need to, you can spin up really quickly and deploy. Here's the thing. For example, multi-factor authentication. If you want, you can ramrod it into the environment really fast. It will be disruptive, fine. But if you put it in and say, this is happening now, you'll deal with 3 to 5 days of disruption. It'll be a really big pain in the ass for everybody. Sorry, Micah and Maverick and Hannah. It'll be a really big pain in the butt, but I guarantee you it'll work. You know why? Because people need access to do their jobs. They will figure out a way to get that multi-factor working for themselves because they don't want to get fired. When you slow play this 6-month MFA rollout deployment and multiple email messages about it's coming, I got news for you. In reality, whenever you send out awareness messages that something's coming, half of your workforce is ignoring those emails because it doesn't mean anything to them. You could tell, you literally, okay, gather around the campfire because now I'm hot. Okay, listen, I have done so many projects. It doesn't matter if it's a new operating system deployment, or we're switching to Macs, or we're rolling out MFA, or you're going to get MDM on your cell phone. I don't care what it is. You can communicate the living hell out of it, right? And on the day you turn it on, support desk, help desk, everything's going to light up. And people are going to be like, what's going on? It doesn't work. And you're like, we've been saying it for months. And they're like, oh, yeah. I kind of remember something about that, but whatever. It's not working today. So enjoy your awareness messaging. It is the right thing to do, but be emotionally prepared that most people are ignoring those messages and they won't realize it until you flip the switch. So for that reason, flip the switch sooner. Go. All right. A lot of Boyajin with the super chat. What? Did we just become best friends? Yup. Speaking of TSA, just returned from Shanghai and Singapore briefing colleagues on Phishing for Cyber Awareness Week, spreading that GRC love across the globe. Great to hear, Alana Boyajin. Thank you for the super chat. Nice job on your international cybersecurity awareness. Alana Boyajin, strong member of the GRC Mafia, also got to spend time, high five, have a drink with Alana Boyajin at Wild West Hack and Fest, arguably one of the top 2 best conferences in the world, Simply CyberCon, rivaling it as number 2. Although in spirit, they're a lot like the same. Wading through logs, check out my fancy OBS layout.
D-Link asks you to trash your VPN router. The network equipment OEM issued an advisory recommending that users of older VPN routers replace them immediately. This comes after the company discovered a severe remote code execution flaw. The company is cagey with details and hasn't assigned a CVE number. All impacted models have already gone end of life. Most went out of support in May 2024. D-Link will offer owners a 20% discount on newer supported models to spur the retirement of the now problematic routers.
All right. So, couple things here. So D-Link is a network security, it's a network technology company mostly, right? VPN is a security tool, but it's a network device, okay? So D-Link does that. D-Link is typically seen in SOHO, small office, home office type situations. Fortune 500 companies are not running D-Link, okay, for their VPN solution, believe that. Okay, so we've kind of exposed like our user base here. So if you're running D-Link or you're an MSP for small businesses, you might be running D-Link. Legacy technology is a problem. I've said this on the stream a million times. If you have a piece of technology and packets are still flowing, or it's a computer and you can turn it on and crank out emails, even though it's Windows XP, right? I'm being hyperbolic. It's difficult for the business to wrap their head around sinking, investment, capital or operational, doesn't matter, investment into new tech to replace tech that still works. The business doesn't always see the value in replacing something that it's not broke. And shout out to chat, all who had a really great example when I gave something similar to this last week. This is very similar to having like balding tires on your car, right? So if you have a car and you've had the tires get low, it's dangerous, right? You can slide off the road a lot easier. You could blow a tire a lot easier. There's a lot of bad ideas about running tires where the tread is all the way gone. Having said that, you can still get in the car and drive to work. You can still get in the car and drive to the grocery store. You're just taking on risk. But if you don't give a crap about that, or you're not thinking about it, or you have enough money, dude, new tires are like $1,000, right? So you're going to buy $1,000 worth of tires, or you can get this sweet Kenwood deck put in with an HDMI in so the kids can watch YouTube while you're driving. That's $1,000 too. Oh man, I'm getting sweaty in here. So I can upgrade my entertainment system and add something new to my car, or I can replace tires. I can drive right now. Why do I need to replace the tires? This is a parallel of like what we're dealing with when we're asking the business to invest in replacing tech that isn't broken. Now, getting back to this story, I don't know if I'm going to be a little cynical in a hot second here. So D-Link is saying you got to replace these VPN routers, and they're going to give you 20% discount off. Now, I don't know if these things are still supported or not. Sounds like they're not. If you're running, what version of D-Link is it running? It doesn't say the version, so I guess I would. It doesn't say. It says all effective devices went end of life, mostly in May of 2024. So, yeah, no, I think the DSR 250 is the new one. Basically, it sounds like if you're running any D-Link VPN router, it needs to be replaced. Now, remote code execution is not good. I'm going to be cynical. Please, everybody, tinfoil hat me. If you're a squad member, the tinfoil hat emote is in the tray. I'm about to give a spicy, hot thought here. Okay? I hate to be a peckerhead. This is based on my thoughts and my thoughts alone. This is not rooted in any evidence or research I've done. I'm just looking at the details. Okay? The bug is too dangerous to publish. Okay? So take our word for it. 1. 2, all the tech went end of life 5 months ago, 6 months ago. Okay? 2. 3, they're giving you a 20% discount to replace it. This, to me, all day, every day, sounds like a really, really, really clever business campaign to replace, to drive revenue. Okay, hold on. We got the models here. DSR 150, 150N, 250, 250N, 500N, 1000N. If you're running those, you are at risk. I'm sure this is legit, okay? I'm sure this is a true story, but the optics of it, can you imagine, if you will, that you're a business that sells product, all right? And your product's really good. So people don't need to replace it because it's great. Well, we're looking at our 2024 revenue forecasting, and we're not hitting our numbers. What are we going to do? Here's an idea. Let's get everybody to replace all the tech, and we'll throw a 20% sweetener, which we were going to run Black Friday deals anyways. Hell, like just call it an olive branch for them. And they're like, well, what are we going to say? How are we going to wrap it? And we'll say, oh, it's a wicked bad security vulnerability. Do we have one of those? Doesn't matter. We just won't release it. We'll say it's too dangerous. It's too hot for TV, right? Getting back to D-Link's Gone Wild, too hot for TV. Mardi Gras edition. So anyways, again, I don't know if this is true. I feel, obviously a little cynical, but I've just, the optics of it. Okay. TLDR, you do have to replace the D-Link, right? It already went end of life, so you should be looking to replace it anyways.
GitHub launches open source security fund. The Microsoft subsidiary announced it's accepting applications for the GitHub Secure Open Source.
Also, really quickly, since we're talking about people running legacy tech, you know who does that? I'm ham fisting this in, but Carl does that. Oh, come on, where's my Carl sound effect? Carl! There we go. Get some of that. All right. Well, there'll be a lot more of that on-screen stuff tomorrow.
Fund, which will invest $1.25 million across 125 projects. Beyond financial support, project maintainers will also receive 5 to 10 hours per week dedicated to security education, relevant certifications, mentorship, and access to tools like Copilot, Copilot Autofix, and secret scanning. GitHub will accept an initial round of applications through January 7th, 2025. Security.
All right. So GitHub, GitHub is owned by Microsoft, right? Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and a couple others basically came out a couple years ago and said, we are all about secure software supply chain, putting our money where our mouth is, and they've invested in open source software security. You can Google, there's been a bunch of different projects and funding. GitHub is doing a $1.25 million fund, which is not nothing, dude. $1 million is great. But you can see here, they're going to give the money out to 125 open source projects. So if I'm not mistaken, that would mean $10,000 per project, right? Is that, yeah. $10,000 a project, which now you're like, oh, wait a minute. $10,000, like what are we going to do for $10,000? It's something. It's better than nothing. And the idea is that you have to apply. So who gets to pick these 125? There are hundreds of thousands of projects on GitHub. Obviously, some are more important than others, right? Like, is Sysmon? Or not Sysmon, like Swift on Security has a Sysmon config. Dude, there's all sorts of open source tools in the security community, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, like Metasploit's open. For sure, like Sherlock is open. Like there's a ton of tools out there. Of course, I'm like brain farting right now. Even my GRC tool, I have a GitHub repo with GRC. So, you know, whatever. They're doing something. I don't know what you're going to do with $10,000. It says they'll receive financial support, security education, mentorship, tooling, biannual security health reports, whatever. We'll see. We'll see. You got to remember, though, guys, like some of these GitHub repos are passion projects, right? When Log4j got hit and people were crapping on Log4j, Log4j was like maintained by 3 people. You know what I mean? As like a pet project. 10 grand, yeah, a sweet static code review. I can imagine vendors who do software security wanting, like, licking their chops to figure out who these 125 projects are. And then lo and behold, they're going to have a special product service offering for only $10,000. You can get this service. Again, I'm being a little crusty, cynical today, so I apologize for that. Nobody wants to bring that down on you. Flakinator, 10 grand. You can go out to eat with your family. Yeah. Cost of restaurants has gone up. All right, guys, we are right at time. Let's do this. Ding, 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 ding. Come on, where is it, bro? All right, I want you all to remember that today, later today, Thursday, 4:30 p.m., so just in a few hours from now, we are going to be joined on Simply Cyber Firesides. I don't really talk about it too often, but don't forget, I have a 1-hour long form podcast that happens at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time every Thursday. And today's guest is going to be Perry Carpenter. This guy, awesome. If you don't know Perry, you're going to get to know him today. He's really dove deep into AI social engineering. He actually competed heads up at DEF CON Social Engineering Village, kind of like John Henry's Man versus Machine. His AI was able to stay on the phone and socially engineer help desk people for like 15 to 20 minutes. Very impactful. He's done a lot of research in this space. He actually wrote a book called Fake, F-A-I-K, that you can definitely check out. F-A-I-K, fake right here, Perry Carpenter's book. Guys, he's a delight. You're going to love it. Please come back at 4:30 and enjoy the show. We got a super chat from Mariana. What? Did we just become best friends? Yep. Thanks for the super chat, Mariana. Simply Cyber, the best way to start the morning. I would agree with you 100%. Guys, I have had such a great experience. I am inspired by the new stream look. I'm excited to bring even more improvements tomorrow to the stream. So come back tomorrow, obviously at 8 a.m. and see what we're doing over here. I'll go through the chat and look for constructive feedback. But don't go anywhere, friends. It might be 9 o'clock Eastern time here in the Daily Cyber Threat Brief. is coming to a close, but don't go anywhere because in just about 30 seconds, we're going to be sending you over to Jawjacking. Jawjacking is a 30-minute Ask Me Anything segment. Our very own DJ Bisek, who is a network engineer, classically trained, who's moving into like CISO type roles right now. He's studying for CISP, which he's actually taking today at some point. He's going to be doing your Jawjacking. I leave you in the very capable hands. I'm Jerry from Simply Cyber. Guys, thanks for making the show and the community such a delight. Have a great day. I'm off to go teach the cadets at the Citadel Military College. Until next time, stay secure. Cybersecurity. Join us every weekday for Jawjacking, where industry experts answer your burning questions about the cybersecurity field. Live, unfiltered, and totally free. Let's level up together. It's time for some Jawjacking.
Okay. What's up, everybody? It is Thursday, which is usually my day to do some Jawjacking. I've got some music in the background. Y'all let me know if the music is loud enough. Can y'all hear it? Am I loud enough over the top of it? And we'll get into this. You guys can throw questions. Yes, Alpha Sierra. CISSB today at in the middle of the day, around 2:45. So we'll see. We'll see if I am Albert Einstein or if I am Forrest Gump by about 6 o'clock later today. I do have music playing in the background. I have it low. If y'all want it turned up a little bit, I can turn it up some. Y'all let me know. I don't want there to ever be like dead space. I guess I can crank it up a little bit more, but I'm hoping I'm loud enough. All right, so I've got, you guys can throw questions in there. Once you throw questions in, then I will answer them. But I do have a story that I looked at earlier this morning, and it got me thinking, hey, maybe that's something to talk about on stream. So I don't know how many of you guys out there in chat right now, which it looks like there's about 390. Usually we drop down to about 250, 200 because everybody actually starts going to work about now. But I don't know how many of you guys are actual practitioners in IT or in security. Some of you guys are breaking in. But one of the biggest things that we have out there on the blue teaming side to help us is something called DMARC. If you're a network person, you hear DMARC, you think of demarcation, you think of, the place where your line comes into the building. With DMARC for email, it's a huge thing. It encompasses 3 different technologies. And if I don't have questions, I was kind of going to go through a little of DMARC so we can make sure that everybody understands it. Because one of those big things with DMARC is it's one of those technologies that breaks down how the email comes in and whether or not your users get it or not. It's a way to help with preventing spoofing. It's a way to help with preventing bad emails coming through, phishing messages. So I'm going to switch this over. I'm going to move this. I'm going to bring my screen up. So I'll bring on screen what I actually have. There we go. And right now I'm not necessarily watching chat, so we got somebody saying don't talk about DMARC. We have to talk about DMARC. Mariana Albright, tell me why do we not talk about DMARC? That's what I want to know. Why would somebody say no, don't talk about DMARC? Because DMARC, everything surrounding it, when you start telling somebody, oh, you have to put this in, you have to put that in, you have to put this in, it's like, whoa, I don't want to put 3 different technologies. I don't want to do all of this stuff just to do this. There's got to be something in there, right? So it's actually extremely simple, extremely easy to set up, and it helps a bunch. So DMARC, and we can see here, DMARC is I lost my mouse. DMARC is what we call, hey, that's why I lost my mouse, because it's blue on blue. Let's make this red. Come on. There we go. All right, DMARC is what we call the messaged authentication reporting and conformance. And what DMARC does, let me pull this down here, and we'll get it a little. So what DMARC does is we get our email, and once we get our email to come in, then it's going to come in, it's going to hit these DMARC policies. These policies are going to look at the actual email, and then it's going to decide whether it's going to be approved. Did it pass everything in these policies? If it did, okay, boom, you can go through. If it does not, then you can set it up to quarantine, or you can set it up to reject. Now, if you have not ever set up DMARC and you're setting up for the first time, I would basically put it on a pass through, so you're making sure that you don't stop every single email that comes in. That is one big thing. But let's kind of go through what DMARC does, right? So before we can read on here, but DMARC encompasses SPF and DKM. Okay, so it's a verification of the email that comes in. Basically, what it's saying is, if I send you an email and it goes to your server then reaches out and says, hey, I'm getting an email from this person. Does this account correlate with the domain that it's coming from? So we use SPF, which is a sender policy framework. That's one part. And we set that up in your DNS records. So in your public DNS records, what's it say? Justin Rohr, I can never remember if it's SPF plus D. No, it's other way. SPF plus DKIM equals DMARC. So we set up our sender policy framework, and there's a lot to go into this. And what I may do is I may make a video about this and how to actually set it all up. But I just kind of wanted to throw this out here while we were waiting for questions. But SPF is what you do on your company's DNS, not your internal DNS, but the external DNS that you have for your domain, right? So if we have companyabc.com, we're going to go and say we registered on GoDaddy. On GoDaddy, we're going to go to our DNS records, and we're going to set up a DNS text record that's going to have all the different ways that we can do SPF. So we're going to set up SPF in our DNS records. Then in our email, we get a key, our domain key. And basically what that's going to do is that's going to do another verification that I own that, right? I own the domain, and that's going to go in my DNS records as well. And then DMARC on your email itself, or on your mail server, is going to take both of those, combine them, and then in the end go, does it pass the SPF? Does it pass that policy framework? Yes. Does it pass DKIM? Yes, it passes that. And then once it does that, then it'll send it through. If it doesn't, in those policies that you set forth, which I don't want to get into because it takes I'm not going to say it takes a long time, but it takes, a string of text to decide how it's going to happen. What it does at that point is it goes, okay, it's good, it's going to pass through. If it's not, then you set up in there what it does. Hey, it's going to go to quarantine. Hey, it's going to go to junk. And the thing is you have the ability to look at these messages. You can say, do it on 100% of the messages, do it on 10% of the message, do it on 50%, but it will help the company, your internal company, the corporation, be able to get rid of those spoof messages. So when the Nigerian king sends you a message and it says that it's actually coming from your internal CEO, right? At the top, it actually says it's coming from CEO at companyabc.com, but in reality, it actually came from some server over in Nigeria from the Nigerian prince. It sees that and it goes, wait a second. This is spoofed. This is not the domain it came from. This is not the person that it came from. So you're going to fail the SPF record. You're going to fail the DKIM record. Or, did I say DKIM? Yeah, DKIM record. And depending on how you have that set up, depends on what happens with that email. So let's see. They kind of have a breakdown in here. To understand how DMARC works in practice, an email is sent, right? These checks happen. So right here, our checks happen. Once those checks happen, the DMARC will then check. After performing the SPF and the DKIM checks, the recipient's mail server retrieves DMARC. Let me make that bigger so everybody can read. There we go. So the recipient's mail server retrieves the demarcation record, right? So I go out to your DNS. You send me that email. Now I'm going to your DNS that I see, and I say, hey, do these records that specify the domain owner to the policy, are they right? And it says, nope, it's not right. These are unauthenticated. I can't prove that that's who that is. And then it goes away. So then the policy application, based on the results, right, of here, based on the results of the SPF and the DKM checks, the DMARC policy is applied. And you can, so if you're setting this up for the very first time, you want to set it up with none. You don't want it to start grabbing emails and not applying them, right? You can apply it to the email and then see that, and then you will get reports. You can set up reporting so it reports it, but you can see you've got 3 separate methods, right? So you can say no, don't do anything, which you don't want to. When you, like I said, when you first set it up, don't turn anything on. Just set it to none and let it run. And then in your report, you'll see what had happened. Then once you're satisfied that, hey, I see the stuff stopping, now we start to quarantine. And quarantine means that as soon as it hits in your mail system, so let's say you're using Microsoft, right? Microsoft has its own quarantine, so it sees it and it does its own thing, and it'll quarantine some messages. Some messages don't get quarantined, right? But this will help quarantine. This will help decide that message just came in. I want to quarantine it. Or you can just straight up reject it. Where'd my mouse go? You can straight up, right here, you can just straight up reject the message. So when we talk about security in a company, we talk about defense in depth, right? You're going to have your firewall. You're going to have, maybe you have network access controls on. Maybe you have EDR on. Maybe you have the firewall on the machine. So network in depth. Whew. Security in depth, right? This is just another layer. So this is on the email. You already have your spam folders. You already have your quarantines and so forth. This is another way to grab that email before, as soon as it hits. It does the check right away before it hits your system, the spam system, to say, oh, are we coming in? This is almost like, let's try to describe it this way. You send an old style mail, right? And then it has the sender on there and everything. And if the UPS, right, if the postal service can't prove that the address that it came from or the return address on there is not where it says, then it won't ever put the message in your mailbox, is what it is. So let's see. By following these steps, DMARC helps prevent unauthorized emails from being delivered, reducing the risk of phishing, spoofing, and all other different types of attacks. So here's the structure that I was talking about. This is kind of what you have to put in there. So you'll get your DKIM, and it'll have different things in here. You'll have a text where you say it's DMARC. Your P is what's going to actually happen. So on this specific message right here, they've got quarantine, right? So right there is where you would put none to start off with. We're going to say none because we don't want messages right away the first time. Because if you do this the first time, I can guarantee you're going to start getting messages, calls of people saying, I didn't get an email. And then you're going to have to go on the back end and look, hey, the email hit the server. Why did it not come through? And then you'll see, oh, well, it didn't pass SPF. It didn't pass DKIM, so it didn't send it. So you want to kind of make sure. And if you have the ability to look at messages in the background now, then I would do that and go look and see, because it will in your mail system or in your like on Exchange or on your mail server, you should see on there whether it passes SPF, whether it passes DKIM, does it pass the full DMARC, without actually having this in place. And then you can see how many messages are passing versus failing. And then once you actually put this in place, you'll know. So we've got that there. This RUA is a message where it's going to be sent. So all the reporting would go here. So you put that in there and you send a report, like reports at companyabc.com. And then every day or week or whatever you have it set to will automatically send that message over to that spot, usually you get like a zip file with a whole bunch of reporting, and you can go through there and find out what's going on. Let's see down here. So the P tag specifies the DMARC policy. That's the tag for emails where it aggregates DMARC. This is the email address for, that's the forensics reports. Okay. The reject, so the SP tag specifies the policy for subdomains. So if you do have subdomains, so maybe you have your email, maybe you've got, company abc.com, and you've got your CEO's email and your email and everybody's there, and then you go buy another company, and under that company, or you spin a company off, and now you've got, company2.companyabc.com. So now you've got that subdomain. So if you want to put the subdomains in there, you can use it, subdomains. And then we got the ASPF tag that specifies the alignment for the mode that this is in, whether it's in relaxed mode, which that's a big one. So you can put it in relaxed mode, which would mean that it's not it's just going to kind of go through, like, meaning SPF will check or it will pass the domain to the emails from the header matching the domain in the SPF record. So it makes sure that the header within there is all matched. We've got different types of policies in place. So let me drop this and put this in chat real quick. You guys can go through this, but this is something, it came up. It was in one of my feeds this morning. And what I want to do is just kind of make sure, I don't know how many people, I know when this first came up to me, I was like, wait, why do I want to spend all my time setting up demarcation? Like, okay, this sounds cool. This is another layer, but man, there's a lot to it. And I kid you not, it literally took me 10 minutes to set up. There's a lot there's a lot on there. It talks about, how you have to do X, Y, Z. You got to put all these different things in here. Seems like there's a lot of steps, but there's not a lot of steps. And it's very simple to set up. All right, let me read through chat real quick. I don't know if anybody I was not paying attention to chat. So let me see. Let's see, we got somebody in here. Spoofing is scarier than some think. End users don't understand it. So that's the big thing here. And second, they get Coinbase email over. Yeah, that's the big thing here, is that a lot of companies don't put alerts on their emails. They don't put banners on their emails. So when a message comes in from outside of the company, it still looks just like a message from internal. So you usually want to put some type of banner that says, hey, this message just came from the outside. Like a header at the top that says, hey, the message came from the outside, number one. Number two, if you have this set up, that will help drop stuff down. You, as the practitioner, as the person doing the security, you want to do everything you can to get in front of everything, right? So when the end user gets a message on the back end that says, or when they get a message, it has all that stuff on there, right? It's basically you standing over their shoulder saying, hey, this message just came in from somebody and it says it's a spoof domain. This is not who it came from. I've got stuff in there that anytime a message comes from an outside source, it pops up and says, hey, this message is from somebody on the outside of the company. Make sure you're reading through it and not clicking on everything. And then I have another thing that when it checks and it sees that it's a spoof message and it passes in some way, shape, or form, passes demarcation it passes DMARC and it passes all the spoofing, and somehow the individual ends up with it, it will say the user that is in the from line is not where that email actually came from. So make sure that you do not click on anything in here or pass this over to the help desk or whatnot. There are ways to get around, or there are ways to get in front of things that are not invasive to your users. My users still get the emails. They don't miss the messages. But in theory, right, I'm sitting there right with them saying, hey, this message came from somebody that we don't know. This message came from the outside. It shows that it came from somebody that it says it came from Jack, but it really came from Bob. when it comes to spoofing, I mean, there are the biggest thing with spoofing is I'll go with salespeople, right? Salespeople get messages from all over, from everybody. They're the groups that get messages, and sales has to jump on this. They got to look at these things. They got to make sure that stuff works. They got to make sure they make that sale. And if they don't, company loses money. But they're not worried about an email saying it came from Bob when it really came from Jack. They're looking at that email and reading through. So you got to get in front of that and make sure that you have headers or something, lights going off saying, hey, I know this message said it came from Bob, but it really came from Jack. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad message, but make sure you're very cautious while you're reading this and you're not clicking on stuff or giving out information to people. All right, let's hide that one. Let's go through. And also, Tech Ricky said 365. If you're using 365 has a lot in there that'll allow things. Message trace is great. There's a whole, just depending on what you actually have in that environment, there's a lot to it. Exchange Online, if you use Exchange Online, that's good. Justin Gold did drop a link in here, learndemarcation.com or learndemarc.com. Let's see. A lot of people say also should create a blocking SPF record on any non-mail sending domains that you own. Yeah, there are other things in there. This gets into the weeds of external DNS, right? So you want to make sure that only your email address or only your domain is the one sending it, that it's not being spoofed and said that it's coming from, hacker.companyabc.com, because we have seen attacks where, for whatever reason, somebody's able to get in to somebody's domain. They create a subdomain, and in that subdomain, they send emails via that subdomain, so it still looks like it comes directly from that company. Yeah, and Tech Ricky put on here, that's what I was talking about. I know 365 will do this. Other places do it. When you go to set this stuff up, it'll give you the exact information you need to put in. If you're not using DNS in 365 and you're using external, it'll say this is the SPF record you need to put in. There is also a site. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Create. Yeah, the MX tool. So you can create. I know there's a way to do this. There are free tools out there. I know there's one I used. But there are tools out there where you can just put in your domain and say, this is what I want it to do. And it will give you the actual record. Here it is. So if you go to MX tool, it's the super tool. Let me dump this in chat real quick. You can put in, what's it? Let's see if it allows me to do this. See if I can type. Here it goes, SPF generator, so we can generate. So if we put this in, so company. So, and then now what you can do is you can actually run through this, and it will actually give you the output that you want. Do you send emails from a web server? You answer these questions, you put the stuff in there, and boom, it will drop. It'll create your SPF record for you. Then all you gotta do is copy that SPF record, dump it in DNS, and there's the same thing for demarc. So see right up here, we've got demarcation record. So you can generate your own demarcation record by just clicking on there, answering a couple of questions of what you wanted to do, put your email addresses in, copy, paste, boom, over and done with. That's what I'm saying. It takes 10 minutes because all you're doing is copying these records, putting them in your DNS, and now you're done, and you've set up DMARC on your email server, and you're good to go. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right, we got 4 minutes. We got messages. Let me pull this over so I can see. Okay. Hold on just a second. All right. So that's what I had for everybody today. Good stuff. Every now and again, I like to throw something at you guys instead of just sitting here answering questions all day long. That way we can actually go through and talk about some of the technologies that we see, right? Or some of the things that we can do to prevent specific attacks that we're seeing in the news each day. Today is a long day for me, as we did talk about before the stream started. I do have CISSP today, so I need to do a little bit of studying just to make sure kind of up and I'm in that mindset. I'm in that mind frame of answering the crazy questions that are asked. Those questions are, hey, here's question A, here's 4 answers. Guess what? 2 of those answers really suck, and they're not even close to what it is. But these other 2 answers are synonyms of each other, and pick the best one. So this is going to be a fun test. And when I say fun, that was sarcastic. But we'll see. We'll see just how well I do. Like I said, do I walk out of there feeling like Albert Einstein, or do I walk out of there feeling like Forrest Gump and just need to put the shoes on and go run? All right, that said, looks like we got about 262 of us. I am going to go take a minute. I'm going to go crack open the book. I got to study for a little bit before I have a meeting. And then after my meeting, maybe do another hour or so looking over everything. And then go in and answer about 150 questions. From what I understand is if I get past 125, I'm probably not doing very great. So I'm hoping that 120, 125 mark, the test just shuts off for me. And if it does, then I'll feel good. If it doesn't, then I'll know where I'm at. I will say this. I've taken about 4 tests, 4 quizzes. Each one of those, for the full test, I passed. On some of the domains, on the first couple of tests on some of the domains, I had some issues, right? And so you have to get 70% on every single domain. So it's like taking 8 tests that you have to pass at one time, which is crazy. But being in the field for as long as I have been, a lot of the stuff is familiar to me. It's just a matter of how the question's written, how I interpret the question, and then how I answer the question. So Aaron Burns said Gump did more than Einstein. I mean, physically, I'm pretty sure he did, but Curtis, I failed my CSSP the first time. The second time, it was a completely different experience. Good luck. Yeah, see, whoop. That's kind of the way I'm walking into this, because I do have 2 chances. So I'm kind of walking into this today as like it's a quote unquote freebie, right? Hey, I'm going to take this. If I knock it out of the park the first time, great. But I think I said this before. The passing rate for the first time you take it is 20%. So as much as there are with high hopes of, yes, I'm going to go do this, then you turn around and you look at the statistics, and statistics don't necessarily lie because there's so much on here. But from what I understand, the more quizzes you take, it's not necessarily about reading the book. It's about being able to interpret the information, right? So being able to, I would almost say you have to be able to explain everything, right? Because this test is a management test. And in the sense, as being an individual with this type of certification, you're supposed to be the one that's in the boardroom or in the meeting that's able to explain to both the levels below you and the levels above you of what's going on. So you should be able to break it down pretty quick. So CEOs, upper management, presidents, vice presidents can understand what it is that needs to happen, and then still be able to kind of get in the technical weeds on everything with everybody else, so your technicians understand what's going on. So, all right, that being said, I'm going to skedaddle out of here. Skedaddle, it's an old-timey word. Everybody, don't forget today at 4:30, Jerry has let me try to do this in a DJ voice. Don't forget today at 4:30, Jerry has multi-award winning author, podcaster, and speaker, Perry Carpenter. They will discuss AI social engineering. All right, we'll see how that... I'll have to go back and watch that and see how it turned out. That being said, everybody, as Jerry likes to say, your chat, I'm BSEC. I hope everybody has a great day, and I hope everybody goes out, learns something today, and then continues on and stays secure. See you guys tomorrow.
Content. Keep the cybersecurity train going by connecting with the other Simply Cyber community resources. We have the Discord server that's lively and always keeps the conversation going. You can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. And also every single weekday morning on the Simply Cyber channel, we're doing live daily cyber threat briefings, 8 a.m. Eastern time, as well as Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We're doing live stream interviews with industry experts, and we produce videos that we push out every Wednesday morning. I'm Jerry from Simply Cyber. I hope you enjoyed the content, and we'll see you in the next one.